I'm Stacy Holmes, and this is Glordinary, a few moments where we celebrate God's glory and champion the ordinary. I'm glad you're here. Don't you just love how toddlers butcher words? It's kind of adorable. 4 decades later, and my mom will forever hug me and say, "Beast hug," instead of big hug. I guess big was too big a word for me as a toddler, so it's memorialized as beast. It's why a pacifier will always be a bashy in our house, human will forever be human, and anytime we stub our toe or bonk an elbow, we'll cry out, "I okay," like our youngest daughter declared as a toddler. And my nephew Josiah has eternally altered one word for me, little. I couldn't say big, and he can't say little. That's my boy. You see, for Josiah, it will never just be little. It's lil. And for those of us today who need God to show up in a big way, or needed him to show up, and he seemingly went AWOL, Josiah's words echo through my soul. Because whether we need God to show up for a problem or give us the plan for our next right step, it's so stinking hard when he seemingly didn't understand the assignment. You see, we aren't the first ones needing God to show up big, and we won't be the last. In Exodus 23, we see not just one, but potentially millions of people needing a big God moment. At the cusp of battle, like real battle, God failed to just poof, fix everything, take care of it all in one fell swoop. Which begs the question, if it's not that he can't, then it must be that he just won't. And not okay with that answer. That sounds downright cruel. Yes, it's true. God didn't show up in a big way in Exodus 23. Instead, he did something different. He stepped in little by little, or lil by lil. You kind of won't unhear that now. You can thank Josiah. Let me read it to you. It's just 2 lil verses. Exodus 23, 29 through 30 says this, "But I will not drive them out in a single year, because the land would become desolate and the wild animals too numerous for you. Little by little, I will drive them out before you, until you have increased enough to take possession of the land." Exodus 23 tells us that God drives out the enemy little by little, but it also tells us why. And it's not because he can't do it all at once, not because he doesn't want to do it all at once, not because he won't do it all at once sometimes. He drives out the enemy, fixes the problem, details out the plan, works the situation little by little because he loves them more. It tells us this much. It says he drives them out little by little because 1, the land would be desolate, 2, wild animals would become too many, and 3, the Israelites needed to increase in number first. So what's that mean in real world land, Stace? Had God shown up in a big way or fixed their problem immediately or given them the whole plan up front, it would have meant that, number 1, they would have been malnourished because the land was not ready. It was not prepared, plowed, sown, tended. There was no harvest. There was no food. And God was unwilling to leave them in a place that would have devastated them, which is exactly what the original Hebrew means, a waste, desolation, a complete devastating wasteland had God immediately driven out the enemy. Little by little sounds a lot like provision. Number 2, they would have been overwhelmed by danger. The wild animals would have been free to roam and reproduce at such speed and with wild abandon. It wouldn't have been a safe environment, and God was unwilling to leave them in a place all alone, dangerously overwhelmed with predators. Little by little sounds a lot like protection. And lastly, they would have been unprepared, easy targets. The Israelites needed to grow and increase. They weren't ready. God was unwilling to leave them alone in a place where they were underdeveloped, in body, mind, and spirit. Little by little sounds a lot like preparation, provision, protection, preparation. Little by little. What feels like waiting and pointlessly passive is actually training for unknown triumph. It just feels really, really awful and sometimes lonely in the process. But he is there, little by little, driving out and pushing back the darkness of whatever our circumstance is. But I'm with you. I don't like this little by little plan any more than you do. I want God to just show up big in my life. I want all the cancer healed, all the debts covered, all the splits and schisms and feuds resolved. I want wrongs righted. I want me to be, well, a little less me some days. And I want him to do it all now. Ready, set, go. Yet here's something to note. That word little in the Hebrew, well, obviously it does mean small, but that's not its primary definition. The main meaning of little is to pare off, as in a paring knife. Think about it. A paring knife is for precision cutting. Spots off, seeds out, skins off. They work well for cutting smaller foods, anything that might slip away from a larger blade. If I want to chop a sweet potato, I'm not grabbing a paring knife. Remove a bruise from my apple? Paring knife. We experience enemies, giants if you will, in our lives that need the work of a precise paring to prevent slipping away or slipping through the cracks. We need precision paring in our own hearts and minds to remove the outer layers, the thick skin that we've developed to self-protect, to cut away to the core of the issues. We need it in us, in our kids, our coworkers, our relatives, our neighbors. We need it for our health, our finances, our decision-making, our jobs. We need his precision cutting away these spots, seeds, skins, if you will. He drove them out little by little, because maybe little by little is God showing up in a big way. Maybe he's after something far greater, far bigger than just slaying giants. Maybe the little places in me are the biggest priorities for him. And even though I don't always like that, okay. So sit with me next week. I'll save you a seat, because maybe it's time we take a big look at God's perspective on little. He drove them out little by little because he loved them more, enough to provide, to protect, to prepare, and to pair. Remember, you're not alone in this. I'm praying for you, friend. Have a glordinary day.